All right, so if you're a developer in 2026, there's just no way you haven't heard the buzz around TypeScript. Well, let's get real for a second. What is it exactly? And why is everyone saying it's the new undisputed standard for professional development? Well, that's what we're going to break down right now.
Okay, picture this. You've been there, I've been there, every developer has been there. That sinking feeling in your stomach. Your app is live, everything's humming along, people are using it, and then bam, it's down. It just crashed. And you're frantically digging through logs with that one question screaming in your head. Why? What just happened?
And then you find it, the culprit. And it's this one tiny, innocent-looking line of code. You've got a function, right? Calculate total. Its whole job is to add two numbers. But somewhere, somehow, somebody passed it strings instead. It's an honest mistake. Totally happens. But that one tiny mistake just brought your entire application to its knees.
And this, right here, gets to the heart of the problem with plain old JavaScript. See, its biggest strength, its flexibility, can also be its biggest weakness, especially when your app gets big. In JavaScript, the browser just doesn't care about a mistake like that. It'll try its best and probably fail silently. Your code editor? Not going to warn you. The only person who discovers the bug is your user, and by then, it is way too late.
Yeah, we call this the JavaScript chaos. And if you've worked on a big project, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that feeling that you're building a house of cards. You change one little thing over here, and suddenly something completely unrelated over there just shatters. Look, for a tiny script, who cares? It's fine. But for a real, professional-grade application, it is an absolute recipe for disaster.
So how do we fix this? How do we bring some sanity, some order to all of that chaos? Well, this is where our hero of the day, TypeScript, enters the picture.
Now, the first thing you got to know is that TypeScript is what we call a superset of JavaScript. That's just a fancy way of saying it's not some brand new language you have to learn from scratch. It's literally just JavaScript, but with a superpower. And that superpower is called static typing. All that means is that we tell our code up front what kind of data to expect. Like, hey, this variable should always be a number, or this function should always get a string. We define the rules before the code even tries to run.
I love this analogy. Don't think of TypeScript as some strict, annoying boss looking over your shoulder. Think of it more like a super helpful personal assistant. It's right there with you in your editor, and before you can even hit save, it taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, remember that calculate total function? It's expecting numbers, but you're about to give it strings. You sure you want to do that? It literally catches the bug before the bug even exists. And here's the best part. You don't have to throw out everything you already know. If you know JavaScript, guess what? You already know like 90% of TypeScript. Seriously. You can often just take an existing JavaScript file, rename it from .js to .ts, and you're off to the races. You can start adding in these types gradually, one piece at a time, where they'll help the most. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? What's the secret sauce here? How does this personal assistant do its magic? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the process. It's actually a really simple three-step dance. First, you write your code, just like always, but you save it in a .ts file. Then, step 2, you run this little tool called the compiler. This is the magic step. The compiler reads all your code and checks it against the rules you set up. If it finds a mismatch, like our string instead of a number problem, it stops right there and tells you. But if everything looks good, it goes to step 3. It spits out a brand new file of clean, normal, browser-ready JavaScript. The same stuff you've always used. So you can think of the compiler as your own personal quality control expert. It's like a safety inspector on a construction site who shows up and says, nope, that foundation isn't right. We're not building anything on top of this until it's fixed. That bug we had earlier with calculate total, it would never ever make it past this inspector. It would never even get close to your users. Okay, so that's the how. Now let's get to the why. Why is this blowing up? What are the real day-to-day benefits that have made this the new standard for professional developers? I mean, just look at this number, 80%. According to the latest developer surveys, a whopping 80% of professional developers prefer working with TypeScript. This isn't some cool new trend or a niche tool anymore. This is the industry standard, plain and simple. When 4 out of every 5 of your colleagues are using something, you know it's the default. And it really all boils down to one thing, the developer experience. Think about working in plain JavaScript. You spend so much of your time just guessing. Wait, what properties are on this object again? What kind of thing does this function return? You're constantly having to check. But with TypeScript, you just know. Your code editor tells you right away. You go from a world of guessing and hoping to a world of knowing and confidence. And that confidence really comes from 3 main things.
First, you get what's called IntelliSense, which is basically your code editor's autocomplete on steroids. It becomes psychic. Second, your code becomes self-documenting. The types themselves are the documentation, so you're not constantly switching tabs to look stuff up. And maybe my favorite, safe refactoring. You want to rename a function that's used in 50 different files? In TypeScript, that's a safe one-click change. In JavaScript, well, that's a potential week-long nightmare of hunting down bugs.
All right, so let's tie this all together. What's the final verdict here? What's the takeaway for TypeScript's role in the world of development today?
You know, when it comes down to it, it's really about choosing your philosophy. Plain JavaScript is awesome for whipping up a quick script, for playing around with an idea, the whole quick and dirty approach. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're building something serious, something that's going to grow, that a whole team is going to work on, something that is truly built to last, yeah, that's where TypeScript really shines. So here's the bottom line. It's 2026. If you're working on a professional team, building an app that you don't want to fall apart as soon as it gets a little bigger, TypeScript isn't really optional anymore. It's not just a nice to have. It has become a must-have. It's just the standard now. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own work, for your own projects. Is your code built to guess, or is it built to last? Are you